So this is a Alpha LTS-120 Line Transfer Switch. Is not switching to line power, and there's a rattle inside. So we're going to open her up and see what is going on. And we can see the common problem with it. Right here we have this resistor that is sitting there that is supposed to be right there at R4. So we've had a few of these fail like this. There's another one I just fixed, and we're going to fix this one, get it back up and running. So this resistor, which is a 10K 7 watt 5% ceramic resistor, it is supposed to go right here, and what we suspect has been happening is the vibration of this thing moving back and forth is causing the legs to break off. You can see they're really short. So we have a fix that we'll show you where we put some epoxy on here and stop that from vibrating. So the first thing we need to do is pop this board up. So we're going to take a pair of pliers and just crimp that little leg there, and this will pop up for us. We'll do the same on this side. Pop up. We need to just push these wires up out of the way. You could take the whole board out if you want, but I find just that little bit of room right there is enough to work. So now that we have the board free to work on, we're going to get in here with a soldering iron and a little bit of desoldering wick, and we're going to just remove this solder. And the idea here is we're going to try and make nice little open holes so that we can slide the new resistor in, and then we'll solder it back in place. Now this particular transfer switch has been repaired before, so there aren't actually any wire leads in there from the previous resistor, but if there had been, we would basically just be pushing them out the bottom and they would end up down here. So we're basically just trying to make sure that we have a couple of nice free clear holes there so we can slide the new resistor in. So this is our new resistor, which is the same size as the old one, same specifications. As you can see, side by side, there's the new legs on them, so we can solder it in place, same specs, and it's basically just going to drop right in, right there, into those nice clean solder holes, and we'll solder that in place. Okay, so we have our resistor in place, and we're just going to do a nice clean solder here. There we are. New resistor is soldered in place. So now the resistor is in place, all we have to do is click down the board back onto those standoffs and just tuck these wires back in, make sure that everything's clear. And as you can see, this is what we suspect the issue is. You see this resistor, even though it's soldered in place, it moves a little bit back and forth, and we suspect that the wires are cracking. So I'm going to show you right now what we need to do to resolve that. So the fix that we came up with for securing the resistor is we're using this 5-minute fast cure epoxy. Comes in a little 2-part syringe, and we just squirt some out. Should be more than enough. And take our technical popsicle stick, mix this all together. And one of the things I found is if you put this on too soon, it just goops everywhere. So what I like to do is mix this up and wait about 4.5 minutes until it's starting to just set up, and then I will goop some around the resistor and secure it in place. Okay, so our epoxy is ready to go. It's set up enough that it's not gooping all over the place. So again, we're going to get in here with our highly technical popsicle stick, and we're going to just goop some of this around the resistor, around that side, and around this side. Just trying to secure it in place so that it doesn't vibrate around too much. We can get a little bit here if we want to. It doesn't have to look super pretty, it just has to work. And there we go. So now we've got our epoxy up both sides of the resistor, and sometimes it still wants to goop out a little bit, so I find you have to kind of keep it in place, work it a little bit for the rest of the 5 minutes, and then once it's set up, we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. So as I mentioned earlier, in our experience, this seems to be a fairly common fault, the cracked resistor problem with these transfer switches. We've probably fixed about 8 or 10 of these units, and as you can actually see, what's interesting with these two units, the serial numbers, if you notice there, that one ends in 52, and this one ends in 53, and same date code of 1110. I haven't seen any other correlation between date codes. They seem to be all over. It's actually to a point now where any of these new switches that we purchase, we're doing the same epoxy repair on the switches right from new, and I've yet to see one where we've epoxied where the resistors have cracked. You can actually see here, this was the resistor, one of the resistors that came out of these units. Somebody else had done a different repair on it. They'd soldered a piece of wire on and tried to salvage it, but we found this seems to be the only way to get a new resistor. Solder it in place, epoxy it, and as you can see, this one now, the epoxy's dried and this resistor is now way more solid. So this one is good to go. We're going to put the cover back on and we're going to test it, and that will complete this repair. Thank you very much.